Thanks to this week's sponsor, IndaCloud. IndaCloud is a federally legal online dispensary shipped right to your door. Gummies, pre-rolls, 0-calorie THC sodas, classic flower, and now rooms for a more immersive experience. If you're 21 or older, go to IndaCloud.co, that's .co, not .com, and use the code Lewis. New customers who use the code will receive 40% off plus free gifts for qualifying orders. That's IndaCloud.co, code Lewis, for 40% off, and orders over $50 will ship free and discreetly to your door. Enjoy responsibly. This could all go horribly wrong at any minute. Hello there, and welcome to the 266th edition of Lewis Black's Rantcast, entitled Sell Your Blood. That's the title, and that's what people are doing. They're selling their blood. They are selling their blood. Americans are selling their blood. The middle class, actually, is selling its blood because things aren't going well. And that's usually a sign. It's a tip-off that things aren't going well when people, just folks out there in the middle of, the country go, hey, I need to get some money for gas. I'm going to sell my blood. I'm going to sell my blood. And that's what they're doing. The middle class is selling blood plasma to get by. I wish I was making this up. This is beyond anything I ever imagined, and especially that it's the middle class. Joseph Brisino arrived at CSL Plasma here around 8 a.m. just as the morning rush of donors was thinning out. He took a few small sips from his water bottle, preparing for what he ruefully described as his second job. That's right. 4 days a week. Mr. Brisino, who lives in the Houston suburbs, works long shifts seated at the controls of a crane at a local waste disposal company where he is supervisor. It's his full-time job, and he earns around $50,000 a year. And on 2 of his days off, he sits in a cushioned recliner for an hour with a needle in his left arm donating blood plasma to be used in making certain medical therapies. This donating is a misnomer. He earns an average of $70 for each visit. $140 a weekend, $140 for 2 days. That's, and I imagine if he could do it more, he would. They're selling their blood. The middle class is selling its blood. I'm staring at myself, watching myself say this, and I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I was going to do this 3 weeks ago, and it showed up in the business section, the front page. And I thought, that can't be possible. And it is. It is possible, and it's really remarkable, and we have really lost touch with any reality if folks are selling their blood. And maybe it's something out there that those of you who are wondering, how to get by. Why don't you get out there and sell your blood? I can't believe this is what is occurring now, okay? And it's got to be worse. This was before the shit had totally hit the fan. Yeah. Before we didn't know if we'd won or we lost, or we won or we lost, or we won or we lost. Yep. And that's it's great in this economy. It's expensive, he said, and donating helps. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the same page, but you have to go back to read it, but there's a little announcement. From red hats to steaks and Bibles, the Trump family has made millions. The Trump family has made millions. The Trump family has made millions. And why is this on a section of the paper? Shouldn't this be on the front page of papers, And just kind of pointing out some things. And shouldn't somebody who's running for office point it out? Okay? That, especially in Houston, I don't know. It's beyond my comprehension that we have reached this point in time, and we certainly have. And we don't know if we won the war, we lost the war, we don't know if we won it. It's people like me saying not saying, yeah, we want it, partly because it doesn't feel like it. It's difficult to get the Straits of Hormuz open. We've closed it. They've closed it. We're all closing it. And I don't know. I just don't know. And then meanwhile, for reasons that completely escape me, the stock market is doing spectacularly. And I don't quite understand that. He's very excited about that and how it's helping everybody. But it's not helping everybody. Why? Because a lot of people are selling their blood. They're selling their blood. So it doesn't help everyone. Not everyone is invested in the stock market. More people now are. There are kids at schools who are finally learning about this. I didn't understand it at all. I really didn't until my friend actually began doing it for a living and was able to help me out and made it possible for me to do things with my money that I'd never thought possible. And the protection that I have from the federal government is spectacular. And I get to keep my blood. Yeah, I do, unless something comes up. I would have at the time. I did not. I don't think we could sell. I could sell my blood when I first moved to New York, and I don't think they were going to buy it because just a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years into living here, got hepatitis, and that kind of takes you out of the giving blood category. So it's really quite something, and I'm really stunned by all of this. It's been a kind of an extraordinary week because not a lot of shit happened really, or maybe it did, and I'm just kind of am not listening. I was out in Minneapolis. I was out in Minneapolis performing at the Mystic Lake Casino, which is I performed there years ago. I think I mentioned, and actually didn't realize because my brain is a piece of shit now. And there's the sound of pollen. I hope it's pollen because I hope it's not a cold because I'm trying to get away this week. Yep. So I was out in Minneapolis where it was a number of years ago that I had performed at Mystic Lakes, but at the casino there. But no, it turns out it was just 2 years ago. And they wanted me back, and I went back, and I stood there and looked out the window, and there was a beautiful golf course. It was too fucking cold for me to play golf. But the audience was spectacular, and I flew in on Thursday, did the show on Friday, came home yesterday, and probably something will happen today, and it won't be on the Rantcast, and there's nothing I can do about that. And no, I won't. Maybe unless it's bigger than selling blood. And we got a few other things here to share, and it's done. Because I've got to start packing. Oh yeah, I forgot. The Supreme Court, their voting ruling could incite endless redistricting wars. Fair representation and power of voters are probable casualties in hail of maps. So here we go. It was in New Orleans. It was Louisiana, and they felt that the black representation was an imbalance, and that they didn't deserve that representation, and the whole idea is that to make sure that 33% of that state is black. And so they wanted to give the opportunity with the Voting Rights Bill that those folks would have the opportunity to elect representatives of their community. And that seems to be out the window now, as does Spirit Airlines, who also seems to be fucked. And we were going to bail them out, but then couldn't come up with it because it was $500 million. And meanwhile, we're paying $880 million back to the folks who were going to be building wind farms. So we were going to pay them money so that they didn't do it. So that's the end of cheaper fares, pretty much. And that's too bad. It is. That's how some people survived, and they're going to have to sell a lot more blood to get on a plane. And also, I've forgotten along the way that Kyiv had floated the idea of naming an area Donnyland after the esteemed leader of our country, and that's how broken the world is, and doing whatever they could over there to try to get help. I don't know what to say, but I'm going to just read a few things here and wrap it up because I think that's really in the best interest of all of us, because I still can't get over the fact that folks are selling their blood in order to get by, and yet the president and his kids are making millions selling all sorts of shit. Oh yeah, where I went for a year, University of Maryland researchers launched the Human Flatus Atlas, a national study in which volunteers will wear a nickel-sized sensor in their underwear for 3 days to help establish a baseline for healthy flatulence. Well, I can't remember if I read this before, but when I did read it, I thought immediately of my pal Rick Redkay, to whom the sound of gas being emitted by the ass is, well, music. And also the Supreme Court is primed to tighten mail-in voting rules. That'll help everybody out. And finally, a few things here. The former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz claimed to have been told by a whistleblower about secret U.S. government programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans, with the aim of creating hybrids that could engage in intergalactic communication. I am so glad he could share that. You could see why people voted for him. Oh, yeah, you could understand that. And the CDC paused diagnostic testing for more than 24 infectious diseases, including rabies, monkeypox, and chickenpox. The spokesman called the halt temporary and part of a routine review to uphold our commitment to high-quality laboratory testing. I don't know how high quality it needs to be to find out if it's chickenpox or if it's monkeypox or if it's whatever the fuck it is. It's unbelievable. We couldn't be slapping ourselves harder. It's just beyond belief. And we, meanwhile, take people off the rolls of the CDC because we don't really need folks out there working on stuff. And that's what I got. One thing I will tell you is that at the end of this, at the end of the Rantcast, there is just a terrific piece that I read in front of the audience at the casino, written by a father out there. He was there with his daughter, and it was a really beautiful piece of writing, I thought. Man talking to his community and trying to reach others with me reading it. And I did what I could to honor his words, but it's quite something. And I hope that you enjoy it. Sometimes I don't read the funny stuff, folks. And what amazed me was that someone afterwards came up, he was upset with my show because he thought that I'd made too much fun of the president, and and meanwhile I do what I can to be even-handed. I really do, but I'm finding it harder and harder, especially with what's happening. And I think he said, really, not the man who wrote that rant, and got it out to me. I couldn't ask for really anything better. That's why it's a privilege and a pleasure to read what you write, and I will continue to do so. And I wish you all nothing but the best. And hopefully spring comes soon, which also may be why it's going from 70 to 50 to 70 to 50, and my body is flipping out. I hope yours is holding up better. They were out playing golf in Minneapolis at the casino. There's a beautiful golf course, and I was going, nope, I'm not going out and playing that cold. Doesn't faze them. 52 degrees, it's like 70 to them. 52 degrees is like 35 to me. And that's what I got. Thank you all for listening. As I prattle on, please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I wish you all nothing but the best. Bye. Thanks to this week's sponsor, IndaCloud. IndaCloud is a federally legal online dispensary shipped right to your door in discreet packaging. They have anything you might want: gummies, pre-rolls, zero-calorie THC sodas, classic flower, and now rooms for a more immersive experience. It's a clean, alcohol-free way if you want to relax. You can drink a THC soda or take a gummy and just have a chill evening socializing with friends without ruining your schedule tomorrow. I like to use it for sleep. IndaCloud works for me there, and I need that help. Well, not everything needs to cost more to feel better, so if you're 21 or older, go to IndaCloud.co, that's .co, not .com, and use the code Lewis. New customers who use the code will receive 40% off, plus free gifts for qualifying orders. That's IndaCloud.co, code Lewis for 40% off, and orders over $50 will ship free and discreetly to your door. And please don't forget to fill out the quick survey when you order to support this show. Enjoy responsibly. And thanks to IndaCloud for making May feel a little more manageable. I really hate Apple. I do. I just despise them. But I have to use some of their shit. There are a few that came in that I will read eventually on my Rantcast, but I'm going to read a couple tonight. This comes to us from Kat. Here's my rant. People won't eat certain foods for no logical reason. I'm a pretty reasonable, tolerant person. Peanut allergy, no problem. Lactose intolerant, I can accommodate that. My husband's family doesn't fall into that category. He has 3 siblings. When they were children, his sister loved tuna sandwiches, loved them, until someone called them tuna fish sandwiches. From that moment on, they never ate them again. Never ate fish, even though one of them is married to a master fisherman. This is why I read this shit, to remind myself why I don't have to deal with in-laws. Only because it was categorized as fucking fish. Who the fuck makes lifetime diet decisions based on nothing but a fucking word? But never fear, they've since evolved as a tribe. Now they won't eat anything that isn't taco. My husband visited them, and it was constantly, let's have lunch at taco time, or Taco Bell, or taco this or that. Unfucking believable. At the end of his stay, his brother wanted to treat everyone to a pizza dinner. So he went out and procured the family feast. What did he bring back? You guessed it, fucking taco pizza. Now, this comes from Steve Cohn, and he's got an amazing mother-in-law. and those are words you never hear together. But but she's from International Falls, where 25 below zero is a normal thing. Okay. Just saying, no reason for anybody to live there, ever, 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 unless someone comes along each day and goes, here's your gold. International Falls is in Kuchkaching. That's the way county. Did I say it right? It's close fucking enough. First time I saw it ever. Because I ain't going to a place where it's 25 below. Well, and this is, my mother-in-law was the school nurse up there for 30 years, and when she turned 50, she finished her master's and became a nurse practitioner. At the same time, the Planned Parenthood in her town closed. So being the badass that she is, she went, applied for a grant, opened a new clinic to help provide the community with missing resources. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Taking some turns no one saw coming, when my wife and I were about a month into dating, it was my birthday. And for my birthday, my mother-in-law gave me a Marvel Comics shaving kit, and it was filled with condoms. There was also a flashlight in there with the clinic's name on it. I asked her, what is this place? She said, this is the clinic I run. Well, this clinic helps the community with birth control, giving out free pap smears and general things to help people out medically and sexually if they have questions. If you remember the name of the county, Kuchkaching, she named the clinic after the county, but with one slight change. She named the clinic the Cooch Clinic. I burst out laughing, looking at the flashlight again, and said, I'm not a doctor, but I'll take a look. Do you know what cooch means? She said, yes, it means cooch-cooch-cooching. I told her it also means vagina. The look of horror on her face when I told her that was one that all son-in-laws should get from their mother-in-laws in a lifetime. All of the tests, stationary pens, and flashlights had Cooch Clinic on them. She would even call and say, this is Yvonne from Cooch Clinic. She had no clue what it meant because everything up there was a different version of Cooch. The town does have a funny smell now that I think about it. They even have an all-boys camp for all the rich kids to come to called Camp Cooch. And on their website, their motto is, feel the joy. Oh, I bet you feel the joy at this camp. 3 days later, my mother-in-law calls her daughter at work and says, your father looked up Cooch on Wikipedia, and it's spelled with a C, not a K. Yeah, that makes a difference when speaking. Unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. I'm going to read this because I'd planned to kind of talk about how important what occurred here was while I was watching you on TV, how major it was. How I don't know, and I think you do, but I don't know if you know that it was how you turned things around, how that you were the first group who finally said, too much. I would have gone on about this, and It's a bit serious, and if I had any brains, I would have read this, and then the one I just talked about, the cooch. But I'd rather leave you with this. Comes to us from Paul Newman. Is that really your name? I don't know. So he's here tonight with his daughter. I'm here, Louis, in the audience tonight with my daughter, and wanted to touch on one of your favorite topics, Minnesota winters. So here's a heartfelt cry of fuck Minnesota winter, and fuck this past winter, and especially, and more specifically, fuck ice. You want to know what Minneapolis gave us this winter? Not snow. No snow would have been a fucking festival. Snow is soft. Snow is friendly. Snow is the Minnesota hug of precipitation. It's the tater tot hot dish of weather. It's comforting, familiar, and only dangerous if you eat too much of the yellow kind. But this winter gave us ice. This winter, we not only had to deal with the stuff under your feet trying to kill you, we also had to deal with the metaphorical kind of ice, which was literally threatening to kill you. Ice on the sidewalks, ice on the roads, ice on the inside of my favorite restaurants and businesses, which should be physically impossible unless the laws of thermodynamics have just given up and said, fuck this. But this wasn't the ice we Minnesotans have come to love. It wasn't the warm, sensible, it's 20 below zero kind, or the kind you find on the hockey rink. No, this ice was made up of untrained mobs, masked, J6 thugs marauding through our city as if they belonged here, demanding papers, please, if you didn't look like them, kicking down people's doors with guns drawn and warrants nowhere to be seen, claiming to be defending democracy while also taking out 3 innocent civilians like they were playing a video game. It was as if they'd never heard of Minnesota nice. And through all of it, the Constitution, the real one, was illegally detained somewhere in a secret detention center where nobody knew where to find it, where countless of our neighbors were dying with nobody to save them. But here's the thing about us Minnesotans. People talk about Minnesota nice, like it's just smiling politely while some fucker cuts in line at the state fair. No, Minnesota nice is what you see on the surface. Underneath that, we've got a collective spine made of fucking rebar and passive-aggressive fury. There's a reason outsiders refer to it as Minnesota ice. Coincidence? Maybe, but maybe not. Because when things get bad, when the ice is trying to break our hips and the government-sanctioned chaos is trying to break our spirit, we don't fall apart. We band together. We shovel each other's sidewalks. We check on our neighbors. We show up with hot dish like it's tactical support. We get organized. We get loud, we get stubborn in that uniquely Minnesotan way. And we don't give a flying fuck if it's 20 below, with or without fur on our nuts. Collectively, we say no, absolutely not on our watch, and we kick ice the fuck out of our city. Because you can throw ice at us, the frozen kind, or the federal government kind, and we'll still be here, standing shoulder to shoulder, refusing to let our communities be pushed around. We've survived winters that make other states declare a national fucking emergency. That's true. We've survived mosquitoes the size of small aircraft, and we've survived this too. Minnesota nice isn't weakness. It's a quiet, relentless solidarity. And when we all pull together, it stops being nice at all. It becomes something powerful enough to melt any ice you throw at us. We hope the rest of the country was paying attention. That's from Paul and Juliet. Minneapolis, Minnesota. I know that I was paying attention. That's for sure. Thank you. Love you. Good night. Thanks to all of you for listening to my Rantcast. If you have a rant you want to get off your chest, send it in to me at lewisblack.com/live. You can think of it as therapy, or whatever you want to think of it as. Just let it rip. And I want to thank the true stars of our show, the ranters, and the splendid rants they gave us. Lewis Black's Rantcast was created and hosted by me. Aha, Lewis Black. Our live rant audio was produced by James Salter. Our theme song by Chris Lane. Executive producer, Ben Brewer. Executive producers, Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly.